For millions of people around the world, homeownership is a goal they strive to achieve. Especially here in the United States, we are inundated with this idea of the American dream, that you must own a single-family detached home on a large plot of land, typically at least an acre, with a white picket fence and a dog and a nice car, etc. The reality is that less than 65% of Americans at the time of recording own their own property. I do hope this changes. And so, I looked at the countries in the world which have the highest rates of homeownership. You might be surprised to know that it's not China, where 99% of homes are leased by local governments, or even Singapore, where the government mandates citizens save for a housing down payment. Rather, it's Romania in Central Eastern Europe, and these trends actually transfer across the region. So, what happened here? How did Romania solve private home ownership? Hello everyone, my name is Imre. I mostly talk about urban planning on this channel. If you enjoyed today's content, please subscribe for more and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's get into today's piece. For a period of around 40 to 50 years, the nations of Central Eastern Europe were under Soviet occupation, with socialist governments aligned to the whims of Moscow. Whatever the Russians wanted, the local authorities pretty much did, with ebbs and flows. By the 1970s, socialist governments in Central Eastern Europe generally understood that when a person is occupying a home, they are leasing it from the state. They don't own it outright. Some countries like Hungary allowed for private enterprise out of those homes, but that is different from owning your home outright. In Romania, they took a different tact. Under the government of Nicolae Ceausescu in 1974, a policy known as Systemizație, or systemization, was introduced. On paper, this policy was meant to help the urbanization of Romanians, effectively building up towns and villages to where they could become industrial centers for their region. In reality, what the communist government in Romania did was they bulldozed villages, razed towns, turned centuries of history into dirt, all because Nicolae Ceausescu earnestly believed that he could turn Romania from a nation of peasants and farmers into a nation of industrial, intelligent, socialist workers in under a generation by changing the fabric of Romanian cities and towns. That, of course, didn't work, because that's not how that works. And by the 1970s, there were clear examples that did not work in Dunăuivaros and Nova Huta, respectively. The 1990s, to put it mildly, were a rough time. The collapse of the socialist system and introduction of capitalism through shock therapy left many people without jobs, without pensions, and without a lot of stability. Many people left for abroad as soon as they could earn the money to do so. Across the region, governments who were cash-strapped were encouraged to sell off state property for pennies on the dollar in order to make some kind of payments, often backed by Western free market economists who believed that shock therapy would be a good thing for the region. These governments, however, were smart in that the one thing they did not touch was housing. Western pension funds and investors were free to buy up factories, farms, and mines if they so desired, and of course domestic political insiders, oligarchs, would have their take as well. The privatization of housing, however, was treated much more delicately, almost a red line not to be crossed, while many governments, Hungary, Estonia, and Poland especially, created voucher systems and step-by-step programs to ensure privatization went smoothly. Romania did something relatively simple. the Romanian government allowed tenants, apartment residents, really, to buy their apartment outright from the state at a reduced cost, allowing them to scrounge together 100, 200 lei in order to secure a family home. Because of these efforts taken by governments in Central Eastern Europe during a time that was otherwise full of uncertainty, the homeownership rates are starkly different compared to Western Europe. The impact that the privatization of housing has on Central Eastern Europe, even to this day, is multifaceted and cannot be summarized in a clean way. But what I can tell you is that for a region famous for population outflows over the last 30 years, what everyone seems to forget is that the Romanians, Poles, Hungarians, and Czechs who went to Austria, Germany, and France to work in construction or hospitality, they own property. It might not be as valuable yet, but it is still assets to their name. For many of these people, working in the West means they can not only support themselves while they are there, they can also help support family back home and save up for a property of their own. However, recently, remittances to Poland in particular have changed. Poland is now a country of remittance outflows, not inflows, meaning more people are coming to Poland for work. I sincerely hope that the rest of the region sees similar changes over the coming years. This is great to see. Another factor to consider is that governments in the region are actively attempting to help people. Ideology aside, there are programs in place now to assist new families and home buyers in purchasing their first property. In 2009, the government of Romania launched a scheme called the First Home or Prima Casa program, designed to help subsidize the cost of purchasing a new home for those who've never owned property by as much as 80%. Hungary has a similar-ish policy for new families, subsidizing the cost of home ownership by 40,000 euros at a 3% interest loan. Life in the Balkans is not easy. Don't get me wrong. The region still has a lot of issues to work out, but I truly believe that the foundational fact that most people own their own homes goes a long way in furthering the advancement of the countries economically and socially. The choice that our governments collectively made to sell apartments to the people living in them was not set in stone, but I am so glad that it worked out the way it did. If you enjoyed today's piece, please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you are from Romania and you have something to add, I know I may have missed something. I would really appreciate your thoughts as well. Subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.